Hello! This video will show you how to obtain a top 10 list. We're going to do this with the query function inside of Google Sheets. Because we're using the query function, this will be considered at an intermediate level. Okay, let's talk about the top 10 list that we'd like to obtain first. So the goal is to obtain a top 10 list for the worst counties in Minnesota regarding the percentage of children without health insurance. So let us consider the data processing steps in order to obtain this top 10 list. The first thing that we're going to need to do is to include only counties from Minnesota. So the data set that we have includes counties from all over the United States. The second step is to ensure that we're only getting information at the county level. So we want to exclude any state level information. Next, we're going to need to specify what age category, race category, sex category, and income category we would like. For the age category, level 4 indicates children under the age of 19. So we use that as our level specification for age category. The race, sexes, and income will all be set at 0, and that just indicates across all races, all sexes, and all income levels. Finally, in step 4, we're going to need to sort or arrange by the percent uninsured. We're going to want to do that in descending order so that the largest numbers are first. And then finally, we want to pick off the top 10 records and also the desired fields that we would like for our top 10 list. Okay, let's go ahead and get started then. So here I have my data table inside of Google Sheets. It is several thousands, I think it's actually tens of thousands lines long. We're going to want to name this data table, and I have done that. The name that I have given it is SAHIE, which stands for Small Area Health Insurance Estimates. Okay, to apply the query function then, what we're going to want to do is to obtain a new sheet. And we will start building our query function here. When we're building query functions, we want to start with a simple statement and then build up to the statement that we would like. So here, let us consider just query. We need the name of the data table, which is at SAHIE. And then I need my select statement that needs to be in quotes. We're going to start simple. We'll say just select all columns where the state is equal to Minnesota. And state here is in column B, as in boy. So B is equal to Minnesota. So we're going to make sure that we have single quotes around the MN string and then double quotes around the select statement. We check to see if that statement works, which it'll take a little bit because this data table is very, very large. And it looks like it's correct. As we look in column B here, it appears that I only have information on Minnesota. Column C is the county name, and if that is missing like it is here, then that implies that this is state level information. So if we zoom out a little bit, we can see that this is state level information. The number in the group is very, very large, which indicates that this is at the state level. If we slide down further into the table, we can see that we do have records down here for the counties. Okay, so what we're going to want to do next then is to remove those first 126 rows from my data table. And how we're going to do that is if we go back to our query statement here a minute. Blow that up so you can see it. What we're going to do is add an AND statement. And we're going to say where B is Minnesota, so that's going to give me anything in Minnesota, and C is not null. So if we go back and look at column C contains the county names, and that is actually empty when we're talking about state level information. It's not going to be empty when we're talking about county level information. So column C has something in it when it's for the county level information. So we're going to go ahead and say where B is Minnesota and C is not null should accomplish what I would like. Now this is going to give me, again, counties in Minnesota now. So this is just the county level information in Minnesota. The next step then is to get the records that meet the criteria where age category is 4 and all other categories are at 0. And that's just going to be another continuation or additional AND statements. The age category starts in F, so we're going to want to set that to 4. And then G, H, and I are going to be set to 0 because that indicates just the all races, all sexes, all income categories. So let's go back to our query function then. Back here. Move over in the right cell and start adding the additional information for age category, race category, sex category, and income category. Again, those start in, what column did they start in again? Column F. So I need and F is equal to 4, and G is equal to 0, and H is equal to 0, and I is equal to 0. Let's go ahead and run that query statement. Again, when we're building these query statements, we're going to want to do this piece by piece. Don't try to write this entire query statement in one single attempt. It's much easier to figure out whether or not you've made mistakes and to find those mistakes if you build this query statement up piece by piece. So now this is looking like I'm getting just the children, which would be age category 4, and then the race, sex, and income are all set at 0. Okay, so this is the data table that I would like to work with. The next thing then is to sort this data table by percent uninsured. And I actually want the worst counties first, so I'm going to sort this in descending order. I'm going to do this using the order by clause inside of the query statement. So I want to order by column M when I'm computing my query here. So let's go back into my query, and I'm going to add, after the where condition, order by M. And I want to do that in descending order. So I'm going to add the clause DECS after the order by M there. And that will allow me to sort these things in descending order. So let's check this query here. Now I scoot over here to the percent uninsured, and they are indeed in descending order. The last thing then is to only obtain the top 10 records, which I can use the limit option to do that. And then also the only columns that I want in the final data table are the percent uninsured and then also the county name here. So those are columns D and M. So let's fix our last attempt at the query statement here. I want only columns D and M. So I'm going to remove the star here and say D and M there. And then the last thing is the limit with a 10, and that will get me the first 10 records in my data table that is returned. So that's how I get the top 10 list. If I wanted just the top 5 list, obviously I could change that to top 5. But here I'm just getting the top 10 list. Okay, this should be my final query statement then that gets me my top 10 list for the counties in Minnesota in terms of percent uninsured. It looks like Todd County is the worst, then Cass County. The 10th worst county is Beltrami County here. One final thing is if I want the counties on the other end, so let me take off the limit here a minute. So if we page way down here in this list, these are going to be the counties that are the best in Minnesota. So Washington County, Carver County, Scott County. Okay, these are all counties around the Twin Cities. They have a very low percent uninsured rate for children. So instead of obtaining the values at the top of this list, I want the values on the bottom of this list. Now I can accomplish this one of two ways. The first is to simply take off the descending. Okay, so if I say just order by M, that's going to sort the list from smallest to largest. And then I could say limit 10. And this will obtain the best counties in Minnesota. Okay, so this would be the best county, and then this would be the 10th best county here. There is one other thing that I can do to do that. So let's suppose that I left the descending element there. So again, order by M descending would sort the counties from largest to smallest, and then limit 10 is going to return just 10 records. I could also include an offset statement. So I know there's 87 counties in Minnesota. If I use the offset statement with the limit, then this here will obtain the bottom or the last 10 records when this list is sorted by percent uninsured in descending order. So this offset says go down to record 77 and then select 10 records from this record. Okay, so that would be another way that I could obtain the bottom set of records in that list. So let me show you that one more time. This is the same list that we just obtained when I removed the descending element from the sorting. So sometimes that offset function or clause is nice to use and is required in certain situations when obtaining top 10 lists. Okay, that does it then for getting a top 10 list using a query statement inside of Google Sheets. Thank you. Have a good day.